is healthy. Hi-ya! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Real Estate World Podcast. All right, this is Scott Picard with the Real Estate World Podcast, back with you on March 31st, 2020, just after 12:07 p.m. Central Daylight Time here. And today I'm really excited. We have a very, very special guest as part of our Corona Chronicles. We have been going daily the last 2 weeks, trying to really gain perspective as to what's going on. It feels like the world is we feel like we're in, I don't know if you remember Star Wars, the Death Star trash compactor scene where, we're, Han and Chewie and Luke and Leia are all in this trash compactor, and the walls are just closing in and they don't know how to stop it. I feel like a little bit that's what the world is doing right now. You look every time you turn the TV on or go online, you see another company laying off 100,000 people, and you're just like, when is this all going to end? Our next guest is going to give us the answers to that, I hope. So our next guest is an accomplished and experienced leader with a track record of developing companies through outstanding customer service, talent acquisition, and staff career development. He is the president of Retirement Guardians and Checkbook IRA LLC, a financial services company specializing in setting up self-managed IRA and 401k plans. He was formerly the director of operations for ARPWave LLC in Apple Valley, Minnesota, and a long-time senior vice president of Coldwell Banker Burnett Realty. We're in Edina, Minnesota. That's actually where we met. That is a division of Realogy Corporation. He was also the owner of Desert Mirage Golf Course, which housed the first tee of Phoenix's West Campus. He has a Bachelor of Science degree from the University of Minnesota and advanced degrees in psychology and behavioral development from the University of Minnesota and Arizona State University, plus a management development certificate from the Wharton School of Business. Wow. With 6 children, one of his passions has been youth sports. He has coached in the northern suburbs of the Twin Cities in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and has been a chairperson of the 3M Championship Golf Tournament, formerly known as the Burnett Senior Classic, and now the 3M Open on the PGA Tour. Besides his family, he has a passion for golf, obviously, which he has passed on to his children. They all participated in junior golf tournaments throughout Minnesota, and some now work in the golf industry. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to welcome Mr. Peter Rizzo to the show today. Pete, how are you doing?
Good. Well, with an introduction like that, I can tell I'm really old. I haven't done that much.
No, you're not older. You're just better. So
yeah, that's what we try and tell us. That's what we all try and tell ourselves.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on. In fact, it's been, we've been connecting. We've been socially distant for a bit, but stayed in contact over social media, namely Facebook, and
right.
As the world seems to be. As the world as we know it has ended, right? And
right.
And the world as it will be is being defined right now. I'd like to hear, we're going to talk a little bit more about what you're doing right now, but just as elongated or as succinctly as you want to, tell us, you're currently living in Arizona, right?
I'm living part of the year down here.
Okay.
Minnesota has too many ties in Minnesota, and it's too beautiful in the summer to stay away.
Right. But you flee. You're what you describe as a snowbird now, or
right, snowbird, but more. I guess we're down here longer than most snowbirds, but it's and I anticipated being back quicker than we will this year.
Yeah, I would imagine.
But it's it really isn't that tough of a situation to be down here, and it's gonna be 85 degrees today. And
really?
I told my wife we're kind of living in a bubble.
Right, right. Yeah, there's worse places
Oh
to be
yeah.
sheltering at home. So is there a my brother lives in Phoenix as well.
Okay.
Yeah, is there a what level of DEF CON are you there? You guys
Well,
sheltering in
they just put
place or
shelter in place and starting today.
okay.
But golf courses can still be open, and walking paths can still be open, and bike paths, so you can still get outside. And it's probably about maybe a 50% of what you have up in a lot of states. And one of the things that population is spread around here quite a bit. They did they did cut out spring training, stop spring training very early.
Right.
People, the governor said that we're in really good shape. When it hits, it's going to hit. But when it hits, we'll be in decent shape because they've been preparing. They've watched New York and Washington and all these states that are getting blasted.
Right.
And so they've been accumulating assets to be able to take care of this.
Well, and you've got I mean, that's a large population in that greater Phoenix metropolitan, Tempe, Scottsdale.
Oh, it
It's
is.
huge.
But it depleted. It depleted, and your brother, if he comes down, he probably doesn't go to the bars in Scottsdale at all. But he
Yeah,
probably
right.
stays away from there and is all business, or stays away from most. But they have been vacant now. They were very, when they shut down spring training, they exploded down in Old Town Scottsdale because people had nothing to do but go down there. Then people stopped coming, and now it's like a ghost town.
Really?
And they're all closed except for takeout food.
So do you, I mean, I would imagine there's a higher level of awareness there because of the, I don't know, fairly large proportion of seniors that are down
Oh,
there, right?
exactly. And exactly. A lot of them have fled back home.
Really?
4 of our 6 kids live down here. So this is kind of a home game for us. And one's up in Chicago. I'm not going to go there. I mean, they've got
No.
that locked down pretty tight. And,
Right.
but a lot of seniors have left. The community we live in is about 50-50 seniors and young adults. And a lot of the seniors have fled back to their home states.
Interesting.
Yeah, the owner of our company who spends the winters down here, he went back, him and his son went back very early. They live in Oregon. And because there was a fear that they were going to shut the borders down up in the Northwest. So
Yeah, because Washington State was really the first real hot zone, right?
Oh,
In the area
yeah.
around Kirkland, where Costco.
Right. Yeah, and if you look at it, Washington State, a lot of people are coming from the Orient up there. They have a lot of tech up there, and it exploded. One nursing home, I think, had like 14, 15 deaths in it. It was just terrible.
Really?
Early on, before people really took this very seriously. And I mean, I admit I didn't take it real seriously for a while. You thought, okay, it'll come and pass. But a lot of my relatives are in New York who are, hunkering down. And that is just an absolute war zone right now.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've heard, seen, I interviewed. I was interviewed by somebody who lived a mile outside of New Rochelle 2 weeks ago, and that was kind of the first hot zone, in the greater New York metropolitan area.
Right.
And then it kind of, the tentacles kind of spread into the city, and we see what we have going on right now, and you hear and you see a lot of like just awful stories coming out of that area, and you're left wondering, like, can they get in front of it? Like, what is, ultimately what's the plan? It seems like now they've got with the military there, setting up those field hospitals, the Navy ship and stuff that, hopefully they can get ahead of it.
Yeah. And apparently what's going to happen, and we were talking to our cousins yesterday out there, and I was worried about them. They're all older, and, and the hospital ship, that's where they're going to put the people who, say you go in for a heart attack, or say you go in for something that's coronavirus related. They're going to send you to that hospital ship to keep you away from the hospitals in the city, which I thought was a pretty brilliant move.
Right.
because my one cousin was in the hospital a couple of weeks ago, and she was deathly afraid that even though, she needed to go for a couple of days, that she was going to get infected. And they were worried about it too. They were, I guess they're doing, the hospital workers are doing just a magnificent job though, keeping everybody separated what they
Oh
can.
yeah. I have nothing but respect for that. People
Oh,
in that profession right now, like, there's part of me that wants to like rip off my clothes, don a smock and, the scrubs and go out and help them. I would be of absolutely no use
they
because
probably would take you. They probably would take you
yeah.
right now if you put a thermometer in somebody's mouth.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it, like I think about them, like how, because, I think it's human nature that people want to help
Right.
and be of use to people. And, the irony is, like you mentioned, going to the hospital, like, uh, I mean, like, I think people are in some ways afraid to go, right? Because
Oh,
like,
exactly. Exactly. And I talked to some of our neighbors down here, and they're older. Yeah, they don't want to go to the hospital. They're afraid to go. And what's strange is usually, you go to Home Depot or you go to the store and you see some elderly lady trying to, lift groceries in the car, you go to help her out. And it's just the kind thing to do. Well, now if you go over there trying to help her out, they freak out. Don't touch my stuff.
yeah, she might
Yeah.
hit you with a cane or something, right?
Yeah,
Instead of helping
exactly.
her cross the street, she'll throw you in front of the car.
Exactly. They don't want anything to do with you, just, you know, touching touching all their stuff. And my one son, who works up at a golf course in the northern part of the cities here, he said people don't want them touching their golf clubs. They're still open. He said, but it's
Right.
really great. We just put the tip jar out and they still tip us. So they don't have to lift out the heavy golf clubs.
Well, and that's the thing that is really hard, for adults, but kids especially right now, like everyone's out of school, they're socially distant, they can't play with their friends. Yes, they love the extra screen time, right? So they
Yeah.
can, FaceTime their friends, but we're social creatures, right? But last night we had a moment on our block, and I lived in Minneapolis, the city
Yeah.
proper, for 20 plus years, and moved out to the burbs a couple of years ago, and we live on the cul-de-sac now with
Oh yeah.
off Lake Minnetonka. Yeah,
Right. There we go.
it's
Mr. Suburbia.
yeah, Mr. Stereotype right now.
Yeah.
So, but we had just randomly, I don't know, about 10, 12 of our neighbors, there's more than 12 actually with the kids and stuff. Just, everyone 6 feet away from each other on the
Right.
street, just hanging out for an hour and a half talking. And it made me think, I'm like, to have these moments and to not take advantage of them would be the real tragedy, like would be the real loss. Like we actually, took time, my neighbor across the street, his daughter is home from college now. She was in Wisconsin. So, they get to spend time with her, not under
Right.
ideal circumstances, but, it gives them an opportunity that if you don't appreciate and, take it for what it is, that you've really missed out, right?
Oh, it is. It is. And you're trying to get creative with doing things. I know my wife's birthday was last week, and she's a social creature and wanted to see all the grandkids and everybody. So we set up a Zoom birthday party for her. And she just loved it. I mean, all the grandkids got to talk to each other, and it's surprising that they do FaceTime with each other more than we realized until this went on.
Yeah.
And it's what's really fun to watch is some of the teachers step up. And with my grandkids, some of their teachers, they're holding full class days online, and they're getting the kids on Zoom, and they're keeping them focused. They're doing a great job with them. Frankly, other teachers are looking at it as a big vacation and the lesson plan home. So it's kind of separating. It's the superstars from the also-rans.
Right.
It's opened your eyes up a little bit to how smart these kids are.
Right. Well, yeah, it's fascinating too, because you think about everyone thinks the family vacations you go on. That's how I compare what we're going through right now, like the family
Yeah.
vacation that you went on where everything went wrong, right? Where
I've had a few of those.
yeah, it's the one you remember the most. And
Right.
in some ways, what we're going through right now, with everything, having to kind of reinvent everything, we're never going to forget this, right? Like
No.
this will be emblazoned in our memories for as long as we live, because it's so, like, we've had to basically change everything about our day-to-day environment, and it'll never go back to normal, right?
Right.
Like what normal was back there, and where we're moving towards is like this new normal, and how education's delivered, how services are delivered, how people work. I think we'll be influenced by this for forever. And
Well, I think so. I think you hit it right on the head, because I never thought I could work out of my house. I had a bunch of kids, and so it was running all over the place. But
right,
I've been, for the last about 6 years, I've been working virtually, and I couldn't see myself going into an office again. Just because you get so much more done. You can get so
right.
much. You can get so much more done. Let me put it that way. I think right now, after looking at Facebook, a lot of people are getting nothing done.
Right, right.
a
Yeah.
couple a couple of people that I know that have had to call their teams back into the office to say, okay, guys, shape up, because we're really lagging with getting stuff accomplished.
Right. No, it's true. Like that is the problem with the social media and TV. I mean, they
Yeah,
make it to distract us, right? They make it to capture our eyeballs.
exactly.
That's their intention, and the fact that that we're doing what they're bidding is exactly the way they planned it. So, which is a good segue. You're talking about working from home and stuff. So, tell us a little bit about the Checkbook IRA LLC and what you're currently doing and what service you guys provide.
Okay, well, what we do is we set up self-directed retirement plans,
Okay.
IRAs and 401ks that are self-managed, meaning that you can make all your investments. Once this IRA is set up, you make all your investments, without going through the custodian back and forth. Say you buy a rental real estate property. You don't have to go through the custodian to buy it. You just can do it, yourself, because you're the manager of this LLC that's formed.
Yep.
And, all the rents, every payments are strictly local. So, and a lot of the self-directed IRAs, in fact, there was a big one in Minnesota that used to be around, that every time you collect rent, it had to go to the custodian and back to you. And naturally, when that happens, they charge a fee. And
Every time you collect it.
every time. Or when you're going to sell a property, they have to sign off on it. And it's just a lot. You can, Joe Benson from eXp Realty, had a situation. I hope he doesn't mind me bringing it up, but where he wanted to transfer properties, and it was just ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous to get everybody to sign off on it. Under the system that we've developed, you sign off on it because you're the manager. Under the solo 401k, which anybody that has a SEP, qualifies for a solo 401k, you're the actual custodian. So you can do everything a big company could do without all the reporting.
So for those that don't know what a SEP is, can you just give us the
SEP is for
abridged
self-employed
version?
people. I'm sorry. SEP is for self-employed people. It's an IRA that allows you to put more away, a percentage, like I think it's 25% of your income up until a certain amount.
Okay.
And you can't have any full-time employees, but it's just for you individually. A lot of realtors have these.
Right.
Now the solo 401k.
I have one.
Do you?
So, yes.
Okay. The solo 401k does everything the SEP does, but it lets you put more away. It lets you borrow against it like a normal 401k. It lets you leverage your real estate investments without paying tax on the leverage portion. And it also has a Roth component to it, meaning a Roth IRA, it's just like a Roth IRA.
Right.
If you put in, you don't pay taxes on it ever again. So anybody that has a SEP, I tell them, I get in trouble for this. I'll probably, if somebody listens to this, I'll get in trouble. But if they got a SEP, go to your financial counselor and give them a nuggie. They should be setting you up with a solo K, or it's called an individual 401k.
Okay.
And it doesn't mean they have to lose control. A lot of times they don't want to lose control of your money. They don't have to do that, but they have, it gives you the ability to, if they don't do a good job, to move it quickly, because you're in complete control. and it's a lot less expensive than, the financial services industry, as the real estate industry, as title industry has been built on fees.
Right.
And we found a way to circumvent the fees and to keep it legal, because there's so many cool things you can do with it. I've been doing this, and I've been working with these gentlemen now for, 4 years. And 4 years, and we came together. They wanted to help grow their company bigger than it was, and they're just great people out of Oregon. They've been in business 16 years, and being at Burnett Realty was fun because we were kind of what you could say the outliers, and we were very kind of disruptors of the real estate business, and that was a lot of fun doing that. Where at Checkbook IRA, we're kind of the same way. So it keeps my competitive juices flowing.
Yeah, you cut against the grain. You're kind of the like you said, the disruptors,
find a better way to do things.
The radicals, right? You're the you're the guys who are out there trying to go against the status quo, which is hard, right?
Oh, it is. The owner, the founder of our company is the most conservative guy you've ever met. I mean,
but he lives in Oregon.
He lives in Oregon. Yeah, he lives in Oregon. He's in Oregon, and he's up in the up by the Bend area, Oregon, Redmond, Oregon. But he's very conservative. But he was a large real estate investor, and had a lot of these self-directed IRAs with real estate in them, and just drove him crazy, drove him absolutely nuts. So he got a couple of tax attorneys. They went to Washington and got this method approved, that it works, and away he went with it.
So give me some examples, like real estate. Let's start with real estate.
Yeah.
This is if nothing else,
both our hearts.
yeah. It's a real estate show, but we talk about a lot of things outside of real estate. But and we'll talk about that too in the context of the self-directed IRA. But with real estate, you talked about leverage. So step me through an example, a simple one. Say I'm buying a multi-unit. Say it's 4 or 10 units. Pick a number. Let's just say a four unit.
Okay, with your IRA, you're with your SEP IRA. You can buy. You can self-direct and buy that 4 unit, and you can find non-recourse financing. There's a lot of companies that do them. Meaning the property is the only thing that's held. You aren't signing for it.
There's no personal guarantee where they could come after your personal assets in the event that you're foreclosed on.
Right. But you're gonna, and say you put 50 down and you mortgage 50. Well, you're going to be paying any gains on 50% of that building. You're going to be paying taxes on. It's called UBIT tax. Okay. Or UDFI, which is a part of UBIT, but it's called UBIT tax. So you're going to be paying taxes on the leveraged portion. You can still buy it. You can still have half of that in your IRA, but the other half you're going to be paying taxes on.
Okay.
Now with the solo 401k, you wouldn't be paying any taxes on the leveraged amount. That's kind of the beauty of it. So that $50,000 can actually control 100 or 2 or 3, whatever you can mortgage it out to be. So that's what gives it the advantage. And, we've got comparison sheets between the two. If anybody wants to email me at peter@checkbookira.com, and I'm more than happy to, send them that information.
Yeah. So give us your info again. It's peter@checkbookira.com. peter@checkbookira.com. Okay.
Right.
And so someone like, the idea here is that, I buy it with, I put 50% down from my IRA. I leverage it, take out a loan. For those,
your LLC, your IRA would be taking the loan out.
Yep. The IRA is taking a loan out, and then the rents get paid into the IRA.
Right.
Correct. And then if, when I sell, because I'm probably going to, eventually I'll sell. Then those funds go in the IRA, and as long as I don't take a distribution, there's no tax event. Correct. Okay. Where do I get myself in trouble?
Where you get yourself in trouble a few ways.
Okay.
By not keeping records.
Right. Of course. Yeah.
By dealing with dealing with your mother, father, wife, kids. Say your wife has a duplex, you buy it from her. Can't do it. That's a no-no. You could buy from your brother, and you could, buy it from a cousin, but not your wife. No first-line relative.
Okay, but it could be your brother.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And your brother's, he's just, his light bulb went off. He goes, "Oh, I get some of Scott's money." um, but anyways, you can do that. You also get in trouble. By doing work on it yourself. Like, you can't go in there and rehab it unless you hire the rehabbing to be done.
Right. So it couldn't say Scott Pekarik Construction is being hired
Exactly.
to do the work for Scott Pekarik LLC that holds the property, and then I'm
Correct.
writing a check from the IRA to my construction company.
Correct.
Could it be my brother's construction company?
You could.
As long as I don't have an ownership interest, right?
Exactly. As long as you have no ownership interest, arm's length.
And here's the deal. Like, I tend to like to have, I don't, in the world of black and white and gray, I always advise people stay on the lightest shade of gray if you go into that, because there's absolute white, absolute dark, and then everything else is gray, has some shade of gray. I always say, stay in the light, Carolyn, move towards the light, because I've been the recipient of a couple IRS audits, in 25 years.
Oh, they're fun.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun. And both of them, I came out, awesome. Because the first thing you said, keep good records, which I did.
Right.
And then, my first one was in 2005, quite a while ago, but it was triggered because I was young. This was when I was just kind of getting started in real estate, as I'm sure you remember. But and we're doing a lot of business, but I got in and I started helping investors rehab their properties and sell them off as condominiums. That was a huge part of my business early on, is showing way more experienced investors than myself how to convert their apartment buildings into condominiums, selling them off. And there was always a rehab component. Well, what I did was, one of my investors left town for every quarter. He left for about 3-4 weeks, and then came back, but he'd always give me like some checks to pay the contractors. Well, he wrote these checks to me, and I opened a bank account under my name, and would write checks to these other people. Well, the IRS thought I was like, where's all this money going? He's getting all this income, quote unquote. But what they didn't realize was every dime I had went out to a contractor. And the beauty was, though, I had everything documented. I had a stack of invoices about 4 feet high for the year, because it was well over $1 million of like cash that had traded hands. And I think they were, it was a couple $1 million, I think, by the time it was done. But that was during a time where there were people engaging in fraud, which there's always somebody. But for me, they I think they disallowed some meals and entertainment just to kind of get a win on me. Which
they do.
My accountant's like, just let them have it. Yeah, and I'm like, whatever. And then I had a random audit just this fall, and again, I have, I'm kind of, some people call me, detailed, some people call me psycho, but depending on your perspective, and you're both right. But, having things, lined up. So like this most recent audit, completely random. They're like, what, we don't, we're not looking for any changes. They said, everything looks like it's in order. I'm like, good, because it was. And I think that there's a lesson here. If you're going to engage in, or you're going to do a self-directed IRA, bookkeeping, right?
Right.
And, understand the rules, make sure that you are, that if you're not sure, hey, how about asking Peter, what to do in a certain situation. Correct?
Well, that's the thing. That's where, we kind of, our company shines, service is what you try and sell, but the aftercare, to be able to say, here's how to keep it legal. We believe in the center lane, because the penalties are too severe if they could come in and make your whole IRA taxable.
Right.
And, now the beauty of the solo 401k is they give you a mulligan. If you make a mistake, they say, okay, fix it. You get a chance to fix it.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. It's they're more lenient than, probably because the solo 401k, you're dealing with a business owner who's dealing with their own money. It's something that, they're letting them slide a little bit, on the enforcement, the rigid enforcement. They're still making you change it, but they aren't, coming in and hitting you over the head really hard. Like
So how does somebody, and I'm going to back up one more step because, I'm genuinely curious. I know how full disclosure, I kind of know how these work,
Right.
but I'm sure most of the people listening don't know the mechanics of it.
Sure.
So somebody will use me for example.
Yeah.
I have like 4 IRAs in like, different spots right now. Okay.
Right.
So I wanted to, I see a place I want to buy and I've got, a lender who will do non-recourse financing.
Right.
Do you have lists of those people or
We
is there
do.
a place? Okay.
We do. We have lists. There's a website, or there's a discussion group called Bigger Pockets.
Oh yeah.
And they're a big site for people that private money lenders, that sort of thing. There's a lot of private money lenders out there.
Right.
There's one called Hard Money Mike. That's pretty good. He's out of the West Coast. I don't know why he won't change his name, but it sounds like one of my uncles out of New York.
Yeah. Well, it's catchy, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because hard money was like this, different planet 20 years ago. Like people, when you talk hard money, it'd be like, well, it's kind of like a short sale too, back in 2002. Nobody knew what those were until 2009 came. But hard money, people were like, well, what is that? How do you even how do you get access to that now? Well, now there's more, Bigger Pockets is a great resource for that, for networking and stuff. But say I had 2 IRAs. I had my sights on a building,
Right.
Again, we'll call it a fourplex. And what would be the process? I say I needed money from both of the IRAs to get to the 50%.
Okay. What you would do, and again, you can leave them separately, but a lot of people will roll them all over into one. You would set up an IRA. We use a company called Kingdom Trust, who we use for our Checkbook IRAs, and also Solera Trust out of Colorado. We use both of them. You would set up an IRA, with them.
Okay.
And we would then set up an LLC that's owned by the IRA.
Okay.
And with you being the manager of it, you would roll your money into the IRA from whatever you want to roll. You can roll it all into one IRA, as long as it's traditional money. It's the same type of money.
Okay.
And then the IRA would send the money down to a bank account that you set up for the LLC that you control. Okay, so now you've got it at, say, Wells Fargo in Minneapolis. You've got all your money. You then would go out and find your property, write the purchase agreement as the LLC, not as Scott Picard, but as your LLC.
Okay.
And then you would, close on it just like you normally would. It's just like you being the manager of this LLC, that you're doing all the paperwork. Nobody else is touching your money except for you. And the only time the custodian has it is for about 48 hours to 24 hours as it flows through. Now, on a yearly basis, you have to report the value to the custodian. That's your only interaction, unless you're going to take a personal distribution.
So you do have the option if someone said, you know what, I want to take $10,000 distribution, taxable event.
Right.
To go to Bali or whatever, whatever.
Exactly.
Maybe I got to buy my kid a car, or maybe I'm, lost my job. Who knows, right? A lot of things could happen. That's available, document it, right? And then you got to pay, as long as you pay the taxes on it.
Right. Correct. And now in today's world, with the CARE Act, you can take $100,000 out, and you got 3 years to put it back in.
You're reading my mind. I was just that was one of my questions. Like with the CARE Act, I read that, and you can do that with a self-directed checkbook IRA as well.
Right. Oh, exactly. You would take it out, and as long as you have it back at 3 years, no tax, no penalty, no tax.
Interesting.
And now there's some really cool things that on an individual basis that people can do with these now. You can put it into a Roth. You can put that $100,000 into a Roth. You got 3 years to pay the tax on it. But then everything that you invest in with that new Roth is non-taxable.
Right.
So You can do that. You know, they've really opened it up. They've opened it up for people to be really creative. Now you have to keep in mind, if you don't put that 100 grand back, you're going to get hit with a tax bill in 3 years.
Yeah, because and again, we're not giving
Yeah.
tax advice
Yeah,
or
right.
yeah, we you know, we got to put that disclaimer out there, you know, check with your accountant and stuff, because these things change, right? This is a point in time, March 31st, 2020. You know, like I saw with the CARE Act, like you may not have to, you know, you can take the money out without the 10% penalty is what
Right.
I've read. Right. And that, you know, and that is if you just take it out, like, and then
Right.
but you still have to pay ordinary income tax on the distribution.
Right. I mean, before you could take it out, but you had to have it back in 60 days.
Yeah.
Now they've shot it out to 3 years.
Yeah. Like, cause right now the world is ending. Like it's
Right.
like they're more afraid of this economic engine seizing and not being able to restart than they are about, you know, someone taking.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. I'm sure your brother, maybe he hasn't thought about it, but down here in Phoenix, all the restaurant workers, all the people down here that rely on the restaurant business to live. When that starts up again, how many will come back and how many will still be in that profession?
Oh, I know, Peter. It's scary. You know, it's well, I mean, people are thinking anywhere from 20 to 40% of these restaurants may not reopen.
Right.
Because the amount of time, you know, like, again, I've been harping on this for, maybe harping is not the right word, but I've been or pontificating. That's another great word.
That's a good word right there.
Pontificating on, you know, look, you know, I have great empathy for people who are going through hardship right now. Like this reminds me of when I grew up on the dairy farm in the 80s, when 50,000 farms went out of business. 50,000 dairy farms shut down in the 80s. And we were on a family farm, and, you know, we were poor and in poverty for a decade. Like and during that time, like that was my whole world. I was, you know, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. I couldn't do anything. Right. For a lot of people right now, I got to imagine they feel the same way, where they're like, the restaurant closed. I can't get a job at a different restaurant. You know, what am I going to do here? And if you're the restaurant, the small business owner, you're like, I just had to let go of, you know, the cleaning companies. There was a cleaning company that just let go of 112 people because, you know, the cleaners didn't want to go in the houses, and the people didn't want the cleaners coming in the houses. So 95% of their business is residential. They're shut down. Like, what happens with all these people? Because it's not like you snap your finger and it just starts up again.
No, I mean, it's going, and when it does start up, I think the people are going to come out of hiding, and these restaurants are going to be jammed.
I agree.
They're going to be, you know, I've got one son, and with all my kids are at all different economic levels, and this is affecting them all differently. But I mean, his restaurant, they closed down a couple of weeks ago, and they virtually said they've got takeout. Well, they need one cook and a manager there.
Right.
So everybody else is out. Well, now, you know, he's getting a job in the food industry, you know, at a grocery store. Well, he might stay there after that, and that might not want to go back. I mean, but who knows?
Who knows? Like the Amazon, you know, like there are places hiring, like Amazon, Walmart, Target. Like there are places right now. Instacart. It's mostly logistics and delivery. You know, for the most part.
They're looking at. And because he says, well, he wants to go someplace he's got a chance to work afterwards, because, you know, Amazon, the minute that everything calms down a little bit, boom, they'll lay them off.
Right.
And so will all these other places that are hiring really quickly right now. There's a place called Fry's down here, which is huge. It's part of Kroger.
Yep.
I hand it to them. They're telling the people, you are only here for a short period of time. But they would put their other people on notice that they might keep some of the people that are there if somebody works hard.
Right.
So it's going to be an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because if you look at the CARE Act, there's some real relief in the short term for people there. Like, you know, $1,200 based on either your 2018 or 2019 tax return per adult. It's up, it's the phase out for a single person starts
Right.
at 75,000 a year, goes up to 99,000. And there's different, levels. If you have children, it's $500 a child on top of the 1,200.
Yeah.
The unemployment benefits have, came out, and, they can be significant for
Right.
people who are looking for relief. You got to apply though. And
Right.
I'm telling people, now, we manage our company, our property management side of our business manages about 500 units. And we've created a list of different agencies people can get assistance with, starting with, unemployment starting. And then, with, knowing, letting people know, hey, hopefully you'll be the recipient of the $1,200. Now, what I've heard is that if your parents have claimed you as a dependent on their tax
Yeah. You don't
return,
get it.
you don't get it, right?
Right.
So there's people who might fall into that bucket. So it's, but there is some relief in the short term. My feeling is that by the end of April, we're going to be, I think everyone's going to be stir crazy.
Oh, it seems like they are getting there right now.
Yeah. And people are going to be ready to work. It's just going to be, let's hope there's a plan, right, to get
Right.
people back to work. And let's hope there's, as many jobs as possible to go back to. Like, I know, yeah, it's funny you said that thing about the restaurant. I think my wife has got the first 432 dates after April for dinners lined up, because that's how many she feels she's owed, having to,
Yeah.
shelter in place with me for a
Oh
month.
my gosh. I learned one thing really early when I started working virtually at home. You don't tell your wife how to manage the house. Um,
No.
I thought, all my years of experience of help coaching people and coaching managers, that I could give her some really good tips. No, it was
No. Do you want to stay, you want to be happily married? Yeah.
right.
Bite your tongue. You get this space. That's the thing we've agreed in our house. Like, I get a room, right? And the problem is the room I got was right off the kitchen, and my kids go in there and they just ripped the control panel there. I have 6-year-old twins, which but they just ripped the control panel off my brand new scanner, printer,
Oh,
fax thing. Brand new. It's like 3 months old. And I'm so and that's the office. So I'm going to be taking over a bedroom that has a lock on the door,
there you go.
that isn't right off the main, thoroughfare. So I can, because they've broke, my recording stuff. I've got lights and stuff, so that when we do our,
Been there.
yeah. And it's like,
Feel your pain.
you can't get mad at them, right? They're just,
No. Well, I find, I learned with all our kids, we had a deal at the house. If you break something, I'm going to get it fixed, and you're going to work it off at minimum wage. So if they broke a window, I'd get it fixed. Otherwise, it drove me crazy.
right.
Broken. I'd come home and all my tires were flat because they thought, we would, we're going to pump them up. It didn't work. Or, your antenna's bent on your car. We'll straighten it for you. Next thing you know, it's broken off in their hand. But I mean, that's, looking back at it now, that was some of the funnier things that happened when they were growing up, but I could leave for work every morning. I could leave for work and
Right.
work it every morning. So I didn't have to see the chaos all day long.
Yeah. You gotta have respect for, nothing like being staying at home with the kids and make you, have you respect, like whether, it's the spouse who stays at home, husband or wife, whether, be the teacher at schools, the people who run the daycare. Like, I try to always just tell them thank you, because I'm not wired for that.
No, neither am I.
Yeah. And it's like, knowing that is pretty powerful, but I'm good for like 4 hours at a time, and it's usually, dad doing fun stuff and creating messes, and then hurry up, mom's gonna be home in like 15 minutes. We gotta like, make the worst of this go away, or else she's gonna like.
Yeah. Well, that's in our industry, there was a lot of single parents in it, in the real estate industry.
Right.
And I had so much respect for them because one summer my wife was over in New Zealand, Australia with their daughter. And the kids were a little bit older. They were in high school then, but there was a lot of them. And man, I was about ready to hide in the attic, when she came back, there was a big surrender sign out there.
The
Stuff
white,
always
the white
happens.
handkerchief tied to the pole, and
Yeah, I don't see how they do it. I don't see how some moms do it. Single people working. It's just
yeah.
absolutely crazy.
No, it really it is amazing. Like there's times where everyone goes through the periods of self-pity and woe is me, and then you think about I don't have it that bad. Like I have it.
Yeah,
I'm so blessed. I'm so fortunate. Like even now in the midst of what's going on, it's like I personally could have it a lot worse. Like I and
yeah,
be and have gratitude for what that you have. Like hey, number one, I'm alive. Okay,
right.
let's
Yeah,
start
the
there.
eyes open in the morning, right?
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I'm alive. I get a, I get a chance to, to go out and try to hunt the buffalo and I got great kids. I got
Right.
great friends, great family. So it's really important that we take a pause and just,
You
every
have
day.
to. And maybe this, the good coming out of this is people are. I know I appreciate. You're just going out for a walk in the afternoon. I appreciate it more. The area we're in down here, I just looking around. I appreciate it more than I did before, just because I'm noticing things more now.
Well, you've been forced to slow down a little bit,
Yeah,
right? You've
and I've met neighbors I've never met before. That's in here. They're people are out walking more. They're getting out and they're reaching out socially more, and not in their cocoon.
Agreed. I think this could be one of the great social experiments of our day where you're actually forcing people to go back in their community, not just, roll in with their car, get in the garage, have the door shut behind you, or if you don't have a garage, park on the street, put your head down, shuffle into the, in the house real quick before talking to your neighbors. I think this is actually, again, I'm not saying this is good, but I'm
Yeah.
saying there can be good that comes out of bad things, right?
Oh, exactly, exactly. It just, I mean, we've been in this development. We've been here now for 4 years, and I've met people. Our next door neighbor, I had never met them, and
Really?
it's just we come and go. We do our thing. It's a townhouse development, or not townhouse, but a patio homes, and you see them, you wave, and away they go. But now, you spend more time. It's more of a pause, and I think, like as I told you, we have our team is all over the world. We've got our webmasters in Greece, and our automation person does our automations for all our web. He's in the Philippines.
Yeah, talk a little bit more about that. Like how does how do you guys work that out together? Like, as
Well,
far
I mean,
as
with Zoom, I mean, the Zoom is phenomenal. I mean, it's easy to use. We've tried Google Hangouts and everything, but Zoom is phenomenal. We have a Monday marketing meeting with the owners and myself, and we have a management committee meeting on Thursdays. If I want to talk to Stavros over in Greece, I can there's a little thing called Slack. I just message him on Slack, and he
Yep.
messages me back right away. The trick is having what you could say, the hours of connecting down, so I know when I can get a hold of them and when not, and the expectations.
Yeah, because Greece is
Because
what, 7 hours ahead?
yeah,
Six, seven?
I think there's seven,
Yeah.
eight, and but to have what do we expect of him in his job? Because he's not here to sit and talk to every day. We'll talk on Slack or messaging or texting back and forth, but he's not here. So I've got to be sure that when we're communicating, I'm communicating clearly, and he always repeats back to me what he thinks we want him to do. Now he's got a team throughout. He's a pretty big operation, has a team throughout Europe, and he went to school in London and that. So he's very little affected though by this. In Greece, I think they've got like about 1,000 right now, 1,000 sick, and they've had a number of deaths, but not they're a very healthy country, and they really kind of cloistered themselves more.
Right.
And the gentleman in the Philippines, his wife hasn't left the house. They're in complete lockdown in the Philippines, except for going out to get food. And his wife hasn't left the apartment. They've got an apartment with 2 kids, and they have a much more crowded environment, but she hasn't left in 3 weeks.
Really?
And they think that they're going to be, they're really staving it off just because there's so many people in a small area that they've got to stay, and the police will arrest you if they, if you're going to, Eljon, if he's going out to get groceries, he's got to tell them where he's going, how long he's been, and they give him a stamp, and then if he gets caught again, they're going to find out what's, and arrest him.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think, especially, Southeast Asia, they've had quite a few scares in the last, 2 decades, right? You had
they've always got something going on.
Swine flu, SARS. SARS was a nasty one.
Yeah.
Like that was, the mortality rate on SARS was, I believe, pretty high. And I think, I think there's a real appreciation for the seriousness of what these things can become. Like, here it isn't so much, they're not believing now that it's so much the mortality rate, but it's the severity in which it affects certain people, and then just the sheer numbers that they think eventually we'll all get it.
Right.
So if suddenly you have 100 times the normal amount of people coming into the the hospital, well,
boom. Yeah, that's the problem. And
right.
There too, if the police tell you to go home, you go home. Here they tell you to go home. People are taking a picture of the police to make sure they're telling you nicely.
Right.
So
right.
It's a different environment.
And we have this fascination on like how many numbers, right? Like, how many numbers are there now? Like how many tests, and like we're just like, people here are just like we talked about, they create these websites and these TV shows so that they do attract eyes. So it's working.
Yeah.
And the media does a great job with, selling the fear aspect of it too.
Oh, it's just, and people buy it. People go on to, I don't want to knock on Facebook, but people get on Facebook and sell fear and false stuff. And they actually, he testified before Congress. It's not their job to make sure it's correct, what's correct on there. So, my gosh,
right.
I've gotten to where I don't believe it if I don't see it.
Right. Right. Exactly. Like, and I think that's the lost art of the critical thinking.
Yeah.
Like where people are like, okay, if you see something, you read it, you hear it, like do a little of your own research, ask some questions, right? Like ask, be curious. Say, okay, well, why would a person say that? Right.
Right.
What is the premise behind that, the claim they're making?
And we've got a couple of really good friends that are doctors, and that's where I've been getting my focal point from, to listen to them and what they have to say. And because they're doing research, they're, both of them are retired, but they're really digging into it because they've got grandchildren, they've got young kids that they want to be around. So they're taking it very seriously.
So let me ask you this, Peter, if I can interrupt, like, is there anything you're doing specifically to try to be healthier? Are you doing like, foods or exercise or all the above? Or
well, I don't know if you heard the book, The Medical Medium.
I have not. I'm going to write that down.
I'll send you that information. My daughter and son-in-law are both very into the healthy nature of eating and that. And they're very, so they've gotten, they've been using that book and that author quite a bit. But I try and I'll eat red meat if I go over to your house and you serve a steak, but I haven't eaten red meat in 15, 20 years. So I've tried to be healthy that way. We're taking a lot of natural vitamins. For this, like elderberry juice.
Yep.
Yeah, it tastes really good. And loading up on vitamins, getting out in the sun, walking, exercising. Because I've read when you just even walking gets it, all your body working better. And so I guess we've been doing that more so as I got older. You just start doing more of it to make sure that you're healthy going into this. If I do get it, then I'm as healthy as I can possibly be. I quit smoking about 20 years ago. And, at first I was sicker than a dog afterwards. Oh, this is stupid. But
when you quit smoking, you were?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It just was awful.
You're detoxifying.
But now people are, that's one of the causes of why people are dying. Smokers are having a terrible time with this. So I guess we've ramped up more of some of the, supplements we take, but we've been a pretty big believer in supplements and natural therapies, even going into this.
Yeah, there's so much, people talk about medicine, and I'm with you. You know
Yeah.
that with me, I've really had a transformation personally with this, and have spent a lot of time doing my own research, right, as to like what things a person can do in their lifestyle and through food, and it's
Yeah.
amazing what an impact your gut, right, your
Yeah.
digestive tract has on your immune system. Like there is a
Right.
direct link between, your gut biome, with, prebiotics, probiotics, the
Right.
bacteria, the good bacteria that's in your gut, and good health outcomes, right?
Right.
So, there's things like curcumin, turmeric, vitamin, the vitamins, the alphabet vitamins, right?
Right.
The B, C, D, E, and just having, getting, the right amount of those vitamins to help with your
Right.
health and wellness. You mentioned elderberry, right?
Yeah.
Beet juice, getting lots of greens, fresh greens, right? And if not eliminating the red meats, limiting them,
Yeah.
and because there's a real, because a lot of this stuff leads to inflammation. Dairy,
Right.
got to watch dairy for like the protein. That's because the proteins in dairy have mutated in the last 100 years.
Oh yeah.
So people always think about they think about the lactose. It's not the lactose, it's the protein that's irritating to a lot of people's stomachs and digestive tracts. So it's just fascinating, like when you take some time and just Google immune boosting foods, right?
Right.
And if you Google, you can look at 10 different lists, and you'll see 50 to 70% of the things are the same on all the lists, right?
Well, it was interesting. One of my wife's best friends, had ovarian cancer, and she went to a naturopath as well as taking the normal chemo, and lived much longer, and because of it. And unfortunately, she passed away a year ago. But by bolstering her immune system, by bolstering her, taking the injections of these super injections of vitamins and things that were tailored to help her fight. She had chemo. She didn't lose her hair. She didn't look sick.
Really?
It was shocking that when you would see her afterwards, I kept kidding her and saying, you don't look sick at all. I mean, come on, give me a break. But so there was getting these super doses of vitamins, and I'm just wondering, I mean, the people that are succumbing to this, if they're going to find some common denominator fairly quickly about saying, okay, other than just being old.
Yeah, a lot of people are sick already, right? Like,
right, yeah,
like they've got either a suppressed or a compromised immune system going into it, and it, and sadly it picks off the weakest people.
right,
And I, again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not giving medical advice, but I'm a believer, if it helps you, it doesn't hurt you, right? So
exactly.
if having a better mindset, a healthier mindset, isn't on your agenda for today, work on that, right? And I'm not perfect. Yeah, I have days I'm pissed off, and frustrated.
Yeah,
But it doesn't, but you have to but that's a battle you have to fight anew every morning.
right.
Like just because you had a good day yesterday doesn't give you, doesn't mean that today will be awesome if you're not attentive to the details and
right.
And
You're not promised tomorrow.
You're not promised tomorrow, right? So
yeah.
when the morning starts, understand you're starting at zero, and how do I, set a positive frame for today, and a lot of knowing what I'm going to do today, being grateful for the things, the gifts I have, whether that's just breathing, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Which breathing's another thing. A lot of people are under oxidative stress. They don't get enough oxygen because they're not breathing properly. That's another takeaway that I try to give people, like try to get, deep breathing and stuff. It's amazing how just spending 5 minutes meditating that way can help.
Well, that's it. My watch will tell me when I'm supposed to breathe. All of a sudden it'll come on. If my pulse rate gets a little bit too high, I go breathe.
Really?
Yeah. It's a setting on the Apple Watch you can put on.
Really?
There.
I did not know that. That's awesome.
So it'll come out and say breathe right now. And You got an old brother. But it does work.
Okay, so we're coming at the end of our time here. So
Yeah.
I try to keep around an hour. Yeah, normally
I've enjoyed this guy. I've enjoyed, catching up with you. And it's, this has been I appreciate you having me on here.
No, I appreciate you being on, Peter. And again, if people want to get a hold of you, what is the best way?
Peter, Peter at checkbookira.com.
Awesome. And I put that in your name too.
Yeah.
Like if people are watching this, they can see that.
And they go to 833-401-5472.
833-401.
5472.
833-401-5472.
And they will get our lovely receptionist staff that will direct them to me. If I'm not available to take a message, I'll get back to them.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to look into this a little bit more myself.
I'll send you the comparison sheet so you can take a look at it.
That would be awesome. So if people want to reach out to me, you know how to get a hold of me and want to, need this information, I can put you in contact with Peter too, if for some reason you lose the information. But this is awesome. I'd love to have you on again. In the future.
Just let me know. I enjoyed it.
We can come back in a few months and hopefully we look back fondly on these days and say, gosh, that wasn't as bad as we thought it was going to get. I hope. And
oh yeah,
all right.
Yeah, it's pretty hard. It's pretty hard. I was walking with my wife last night. And the weather was nice. I says, it's really, we're kind of living in a bubble. I says, there's nothing for us to even complain about. The refrigerator's full. It's warm out. Let's just kind of suck it up and get to the other end.
Yeah, I mean Arizona that time of year is awesome, right?
Yeah.
You guys, you got a dry 85.
Yeah.
It's not Minnesota 85 where it's
a humid 85.
A humid 85 where there's 14 gazillion mosquitoes sucking the blood out of you.
Yeah, well, I'll be up there too, so I'll be able to witness that again.
Awesome. Well, Peter, thank you so much. I appreciate everything. We'll look forward to seeing you again. And like as always, if you need to get a hold of Peter, like any of our guests, and you can't, for some reason it wasn't clear, get in touch with me and we'll connect you guys. All right. Have a great day, and we'll be back tomorrow. Same damn place, same damn time.
Hey, thanks, Scott.
All right. Bye. See ya.